podcast is meant for a mature adult audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to another edition of On a Quest. I am Jill Urchek, questing everything mystical, supernatural, paranormal, UFOs, angels, spirits, anything you pretty much can't see that you know to be real. Started this podcast because instead of Curious George, I am Curious Jill, and I've had a deep passion for this for a very long time and thought, you know what? I'm going to start this. Now, I've done about 5 shows. I've had some creepy, scary ghost shows, and then I had a UFO guy on, and now I want to go with the professionals. So I was fortunate enough to come across somebody, Kristina Hallett. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Good. And Kristina and I have not met. So I am just going to be equally as fascinated as everybody listening is. She has a very long resume, and I mean that in the nicest way. Kristina is impressive. She is a spiritual channel for Mother Mary. I hope we're talking about the real Mother Mary because I love that.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
so
indeed
cool.
we are. Yes, we are.
She's a gifted oracle. She receives her info from angels and spirit guides. She's also a medium, although you say that that's not your specialty, which at this point, you've got everybody. An ordained interfaith minister, a Reiki healer, and a certified hypnotherapist. I know there's more in there, and I will let you tell that as we go on. But welcome to the show, Kristina.
Well, I'm very happy to be here.
You know, I was going through your bio, I guess, and there's so much. It's not like you just do one thing.
No.
And
I have a lot on my plate, definitely.
Doesn't first of all, doesn't this drain you mentally, everything you do?
You know what's funny? I find that the more I follow the things that, I really feel connected with, when I really follow the path that Spirit takes me on, I feel more energized and less drained.
I can understand that.
So, it's about, I guess, following that purpose, that passion. When you find it, it's definitely more of an uplifting thing than a draining thing.
Yeah, and because it's what you do, that I guess if somebody was an electrician, they wouldn't be drained by putting wires together. I, on the other hand, would electrocute myself, but I'm not an electrician, so here we go. I want to just jump right into this Mother Mary thing, because when I read that, I'm like, is this like code for something, or is she really connecting with Jesus's mother, which is so cool?
Well, I've got to tell you, I mean, it's been such an interesting journey for me, and I'm just going to say, when Mother Mary showed up for me, I was as surprised as the next person, because I was not. I can't say that at the time I was really focused on any sort of specifically on a Christian faith. I was raised a Presbyterian, but I've never been like a real fanatical sort of religious person, and I still don't consider myself that. Although I'm a very spiritual person, but I am somebody who can say that I had her appear to me.
Okay,
and I've actually had that sort of encounter, and she, for the lack of a better way of putting it, kind of attuned me and talked to me and told me this is part of my purpose. And it was just an amazing experience that changed my life.
So were you like doing laundry one day and doing your whites and colors, and all of a sudden you're putting in the Downy sheet and hello?
Actually, no, but you want to know what's funny? And sometimes Spirit is very in your face. It was actually a Christmas morning.
Oh, that's appropriate.
And I was, I was already aware of, being, spiritual and into it. I was actually spent that morning doing my normal lighting candles, doing my gratitude, my affirmations and stuff that, that some people do. And as I was doing one of my energetic healing protocols, and as I was bringing the energy in, she came to me. She showed up.
In sight, a visual?
Yes.
Wow.
But even more than the visual, it's like she shared her energy with me.
Okay.
And it's like it came into my body, and as it came in, it knocked me to my knees. I mean, it was actually knocked me to my knees, sort of energy. And it was such a strong energy of love. It was almost like I had to try to stop breathing, because with each breath it was coming into my body more and more and more, and I was like, oh, this is the most beautiful, amazing thing I've ever felt in my life. It was such a concentrated love energy that while on one hand it was beautiful and amazing, on another hand, I was afraid my body was going to explode because it was like, can my body hold this energy? I don't know if
Right.
it can.
Oh, wow.
It was just, yeah, I really don't have words to truly describe to you what that event was like for me.
Well, I've YouTubed a lot of Mother Mary apparitions,
Hmm.
and some of them, well, most of them just really creep me out in a good way because you see, and anybody can act, right? But
Right.
this was
Yeah.
different. When you see some of these people that were just completely absorbed, I don't know. I don't know an actor that good for some of these things I've seen. So
I
I'm,
would
I'm
agree. I have not seen those videos you're talking about.
you
Maybe I need to
you
Google
should
them
you
too.
should YouTube Measure Gore. You should YouTube some of those videos and because they're still happening all over the world and people don't realize this. But I remember telling my husband, look at that. I know there's a lot of good actors out there, but this just seems different. There's a
Right.
look on their face of
Yeah.
pure love. So I'm relating that to what you just told me. Now, I kind of jumped ahead. I didn't even ask you how you got started or how this came to you, and I will. But how old were you when this Mother Mary visual
Oh,
and energy
now
came to you?
asking me to do math.
No, I'm
That
with you on that. I have a calculator. Go ahead.
um, let me see. I believe it was 2007 when she came
Oh,
to
that's
me.
pretty recent.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty recent.
My God, what did she look like, Christina? What did she look like?
She was just beautiful.
Beautiful, I imagine. Oh,
Just beautiful. And I'm going to tell you this about what she looked like. To me, she looked very much what you would consider to be kind of a stereotypical Mother Mary,
okay.
but in the just from doing what I do and talking to angels and spirit guides and all that sort of stuff, I am fully aware that quite often they will use a visual representation of themselves
Right.
to
Okay.
you that makes it so that clear to you, okay, this is who I
Okay.
am. This is what this energy is. Because my truth is they don't really look like that in their energetic form.
Okay.
Because they are pure energy, pure love
Pure
energy.
light. Right.
And I truly feel that the visual I got for her, which was a beautiful sort of typical Mother Mary
Mm-hmm.
um, visual, I believe that was a representation that she shared with me so that I would have no doubt about who it was.
Yeah, and I've also read a lot about near-death experiences that people come to you the way you know them to be, so you know it's them.
And I've had one of those too. So
Oh, I'm
that's
sure
that's another subject.
Jesus. Oh, Lord. I'm sure you have. Now, you said she comes on a DNA strand 144. What does that mean?
Oh, that is actually part of what she came to me to talk to me about. That is actually part of what I'm doing energetically as far as the healing goes. It's an activation for people who feel guided to work more with energy and to help people and the planet. A lot of light worker stuff where you can activate a lot of interdimensional strands of DNA and to help you so that people who want to carry those high frequencies and
Hmm.
help other people, who feel really guided, can turn a lot of that on so that they themselves can carry more energy and help more people.
So with the number 144, because I've been seeing, and again, this is just not a coincidence because I don't believe in coincidences, but I've been seeing, and I'm not saying this is Mother Mary, but it would be very lovely if it was, 44, 444, 222, 22, constantly, 22s, 44s.
Well, a lot of those are, actually your angels and spirit guides trying to communicate messages to you. There are various places you can look up the meaning of angel numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I know that 444 is the angels are around you. 333 is the ascended masters are around you. Things like that. You
Yeah,
can look up.
yeah.
They're pretty standard from
Yeah.
list to list. I know that, let me see, is it Doreen Virtue has a book on angel numbers.
I know
Oh,
that,
as a
yeah.
matter of fact,
Yeah.
yeah, angel number. It's funny that you say that because I turn around and I see that it's actually right here on my shelf in front of me. Angel numbers 101
There
from
you go.
Doreen Virtue. That's funny.
Well, yeah, that is funny. Now that's a coincidence, but yeah, really.
There are no
I know.
coincidences.
I tell people that and they're like, Jill. I said, no, there aren't. I'm sorry. I just don't believe so. But,
No,
I
there.
can go on about Mother Mary for hours. I just want to ask you because there's so much more I want to ask you. Did she, I know you were in a meditative state, but was she as real as somebody standing in front of you? Was she speaking to you? Did you hear her voice
She
or was it in your
was,
head?
well, I wouldn't say she was completely solid for me.
Okay.
She was such a, I mean, she looked like I could kind of see through her,
Mm-hmm.
but she was there in a very strong energetic sense, but at the same time, she was bringing her energy into me.
Okay.
So it wasn't like her standing 3 feet away from me and seeing a solid person.
Right, right.
So it was like she was here with me, very close,
Mm-hmm.
and also surrounding me.
So
So
with,
it's kind of hard to
no,
explain that sort of experience.
but I'm getting it. I'm following you.
Okay.
So she wants you, I'm asking you, I'm saying it like a question or like a statement. So she wants you to use that energy to help people like through her.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Wow.
through me to allow myself to be a vessel for her energy,
Right.
for her divine energy. And as much as, I'm a psychic and all that stuff, when I'm doing the energy work is when I actually really feel that I am truly doing, like the main part of the work that I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay. Because I consider myself very intuitive, not psychic by any means, but very intuitive. And I'm looking at
Mhm.
the clock. I see 44. I'm laughing. Very intuitive. There we go. And sometimes I tell people like it's just something you can't explain. It's just in my gut. I know it to be true, and I can't back it up with facts.
Right. Yeah.
And well, people already think I'm nuts. Okay, I want to move on with you. If you have something to jump in, just because I have a lot to ask you, please do.
Oh, go ahead and ask.
Okay,
Just go
all
ahead
right.
and ask.
Thank you. At what point was this common to you? Did you grow up with it? I know you've been asked this 8 million times, I'm sure of it. Or is it something that came to you at just on your 16th birthday?
About the psychic stuff?
All of
Well,
it.
I can say that in general, I was always very intuitive, and I had a lot of stuff happen when I was a child that I didn't realize was unusual. Let's put it that way.
Yo, okay.
And after a while, when all the adults tell you you're making stuff up,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of close it down. It's very common for people. A lot of people do it. I think a lot of kids, they had their invisible friends or whatever when they're kids, and some of them just aren't invisible friends. They're actual beings and angels and whatnot. But after you're told enough that no, there's
Yeah.
nothing there, blah blah blah, after a while you shut it down. And so for a good portion of my adult life, I just kind of ignored it, even though I kept getting visions and weird things. I mean, I would see things I couldn't explain, and I just kind of, I always felt like there was something there, but I kind of ignored it. And then, well, I worked in radio for like 20 years, and
Oh
then
boy, we
the,
are a lot alike. Well, not really. You're so much more cool than I am, but go ahead.
I wouldn't say that at all. But it came to a point where I was at my radio career. It's like, okay, I'm done with this. I feel like there's just something, else that I'm supposed to do. I was very unhappy. I just had to get out. And all this, I was like, I was like, I got to find something else. I've got to get
Right.
out of here. I can't do this
You
anymore.
can't get fired every other year. Yes, I understand.
Yes, exactly. It was one of those things, and I found myself in a city that I really didn't enjoy living there. It was like from the moment I stepped foot across the city line,
Yeah.
they were trying to spit me out. Yeah,
Yes,
everything was just
yes.
going wrong, and then all of a sudden. When I was like, okay, you know what, this maybe isn't what I'm supposed to do anymore. As soon as I went there, it was like spirit went, okay, here are the rest of the puzzle pieces. One, two, three. And they made it so that I could easily leave, and I got out. And after I made that choice, all of a sudden, all the other stuff started like blink, blink, blink. Okay, follow these breadcrumbs,
Falling
and
into
then
place, right?
it's like one thing after
Wow.
another. They reawakened um, my my spiritual gifts, my clairvoyance, and they showed me, okay, this is why. I mean, I actually like, it's like a shaman sort of thing. I mean, it was like I was taught directly by spirit for so much of this. And I had a lot of weird, freaky experiences, and I don't know, it's just led me to where I am today.
Hmm.
And one of the first things they did is they got me Reiki attuned. And I had no idea what Reiki
Yeah,
was at the
I'm not
time.
even that familiar. Would you explain it? But after you tell me
Well,
what you're going to say.
it's really universal life force energy.
Okay.
Everything is made up of energy,
Okay.
and with this energy, you can use it in various ways. To heal, to calm, to develop yourself.
Okay.
I think too often in the West, Reiki is used as, of just as a like a healing. Oh, I think we have a funny idea of healing in the West. Let's put
Okay.
it that way. Because what I found is with these types of energies, the true healing begins with you.
Okay.
And within self, as we heal ourselves, we are able to interact and be different on
Hmm.
the planet through our own healing, and we can help hold space for others in theirs. Because I don't believe you can ever really truly heal another person, but you can create a space where that person gets a break, where they can then go within themselves to
Sure.
allow themselves to heal.
Sure.
I don't know if that makes any sense when I say that, but it's like giving a person a timeout where they can catch their breath and go, okay,
Well, yeah, you
now
can't do it for
now
them.
right.
Right.
Because I mean, you can bring them all the beautiful healing energy in the world that you want, but if they're not in a place within themselves where they're willing to heal,
Hmm.
it's no amount of healing energy in the world is going to help, because the person who's doing the healing has to want to really be healed.
Well, yeah, I
So
guess that would be like an alcoholic really wanting to get better and not just showing up at the
exactly,
meetings and eating donuts so they could, and there's
exactly,
nothing wrong with eating donuts, but you have to want, or somebody who wants to lose weight, you have to really want to do it or it's
right,
pointless.
exactly,
Okay.
yes.
Well, and I
So
think
I,
that,
I
go
forget what
ahead.
was the question. Did I
I'm
answer
so
it?
sorry. I know, you know what you were about to say something and I asked you to explain it first. So I apologize because my memory's like 2 seconds long. If it comes to you again and you remember your thought, just completely interrupt me. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because you were going somewhere and I just wanted the listeners to know what Reiki was.
Oh, okay.
So I cut you off very rudely and I
Oh, I
apologize.
know. I was talking about, I guess, my awakening process. Oh,
Okay.
that's what it was.
Okay.
One of the first things they had me do is get Reiki attuned, and I had no idea what Reiki was at the time. All I know is all of a sudden I saw the word and went, I have to have that.
Okay.
And I had no idea why. And when I left radio, I went and I moved to a small town in upstate New York where I had initially grown up. Never thought I would want to move back there again. And I was in this place where nobody knew anything about Reiki. Um, Nobody was open to it. And I was just the weirdo. All of a sudden, I had found out about it. And the weird part is, and this is, when you open yourself up to spirit and say, okay, give it to me, they bring it to you. Because here I am in the middle of no place, and all of a sudden, I have a Reiki teacher in the middle of no place.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? And so, I got my Reiki attunements. I became a Reiki master. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I've got, a gazillion other energy modalities on top of that. But that's partly because that's part of my path, it turns out. I don't advocate that everybody in the world needs to go out and get 350 different million, attunements.
Right. Right.
But that's just something that I was supposed to do. But anyway, when I got the Reiki attunement, that was the thing that really started opening up my gifts. Like I should say, reopen them.
Hmm.
And it was like, it was just like, a gathering snowball, like going downhill. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like every day there was something new. And it's like I really kind of at the time felt like I got thrown into the deep end of the pool, and I'm like, oh my God, am I going crazy here? What
Right.
is going on? So I really had that sort of reawakening, later in life, so it wasn't like, I've been, out there, the wonderkin from age 8, talking to dead people and telling
Mm-hmm.
everybody about it. Like I said, when I was young, I did have that stuff going on. But nobody listened. And one of the strongest things I had when I was a kid was I saw the animal spirits, and I saw them like they were solid,
Wow.
3D, like right in front of me.
Oh.
And I saw
Hmm.
the angels too, but when I saw them, they were more like the way I saw Mother Mary when she came to me. I
Mm-hmm.
could see through them, but I could see them, that sort of thing. It was just different. But the animal spirits, when I saw them, they were solid. They were right there in front of me.
Do
And
you do?
I didn't
Oh, go
know
ahead.
that they weren't real. I did
Oh,
not know that they
wow.
weren't real at the time. The funny thing is, I had to be an adult later on and look back and go, you know what? You're not in upstate New York, and you don't have a giant sized Gila monster hissing at you. They don't live there,
So when you
that sort of
told your
thing.
mom, "Can we feed the puppy?" and she said, "What puppy? The one in my room?" Okay, honey, you go night night now, sweetheart. But
Right, right.
do all animals? I heard it was just like dogs and cats. Do all animals? I believe all animals have a soul. Do they all go, or do not all animals have a soul? Do you know that?
To the best of my knowledge, every living being does. But when I was speaking of animal spirits, I was speaking more in the terms of like the Native American belief
Oh, I'm
in animal
such a ding
spirits.
dong. I'm sorry.
That doesn't mean that I don't connect, because I can also connect with past
Oh,
over,
okay, good. I just made a fool out of
pet
myself.
pets and loved ones too, in
Okay.
addition to,
Okay.
but to just clarify, I was talking about the
Oh.
animal spirits, as in
Oh.
like yeah, it's a little different.
I would like to
Yeah.
delete this part from my show, but I won't because I think making a fool out of yourself is part of life. Oh, okay. So
No,
they
no. But
Christine, I'm an
that is
idiot.
something that needs clarification, because it's
Yes.
not something that not everybody even realizes there is such a thing as these animal spirits. Some people just think, people are co-opting Native American beliefs, and they don't really get it. But as someone who grew up actually seeing the animal spirits, and not being Native American myself, I am not trying to co-opt that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
that was my experience. I could see them, and when I would see them, I know now later as an adult, after I've had more information and direct teachings from people who do know about these things, that they come with messages and energies, and they come as spirit guides in many ways.
Oh, do you have the same? Somebody told me it changes through life. Are we born with the same spirit guides throughout, or is it just as our needs change?
Are you talking specifically about
Spirit guides. Mm-hmm.
spirit guides? Okay, and not just specifically about animal spirits. Well, there is, they can change throughout life. It really depends on the individual, because everybody has different purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have more of a need to change spirit guides, depending on their learning, their growth, and their path. But everybody has what I personally call a gateway guide, which is with you every moment, from the moment you're born to the moment that you die.
Okay.
And that is, I call them the gateway guide, because they're the one that is closest to you, is most responsible for bringing you your intended
Mm-hmm.
lessons and blessings, and things that you're supposed to learn in the, because I believe in soul contracts. I don't know if
Okay.
you know what those are, but it's like there are things that we all individually intend to experience or accomplish in each lifetime. And that gateway guide is the number one, like, spirit guide to help you achieve
Right.
those goals and those intentions and those lessons.
Now, I think it's really cool. When I was a kid, I used to save a place in bed for my guardian angel. No, guardian angels and spirit guides are different, correct?
Yes.
Are we all assigned an archangel?
I wouldn't say everybody's assigned an
Okay. So,
archangel.
are some people?
Some people are, yes.
Okay.
It really, again, and it doesn't make anybody better or anybody
Mm-hmm.
worse. It just depends on what our soul path is, the things that we're intended to do when we come, because different people just have they come in with different strengths and abilities for different reasons. And, I can't always tell you what everybody's reason for
Mm-hmm.
it is. It may be, maybe you've been on Earth many, many lifetimes.
Right.
So you have maybe the energetic ability to do some things that maybe someone who is just incarnating on Earth for maybe their third time doesn't have the ability to do that. So it's just different for different people.
Sure.
And it doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have really awesome spirit guides, because they do. It's just that not everybody necessarily needs an archangel.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that everybody can't call on an archangel, because they really are beings who are there to assist anybody who calls on them. And so nobody should hesitate at any time to feel like they can call on Archangel Michael for protection or whatever it is. Anybody can call on an archangel, but that doesn't mean that everybody has an assigned archangel spirit guide.
Sure. When my son will be 2 in, I think, 3 weeks. I mean, I know his birthday, but I'm just trying to figure out. You said you can't do math, neither can I. His birthday is September 9th. When he was about 1, we'd be playing, and he would look in the corner of the room, Dee Dee, and I'm like, okay. So, and I believe you, and I do believe, especially children and animals, because they're innocent and sensitive, and
Yes.
I believe in that. But it was happening so often, it was kind of freaking me out a little, because I thought Dee Dee better be good. I don't care if he talks to Dee Dee, but Dee Dee better be nice. So one day I'm changing his diaper, and Dee Dee's looking behind me. I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. I'm like, doing the sign of the cross as I'm wiping his butt, and I turn around. I'm like, Dee Dee.
You're doing the sign of the cross in the poop? That's
Oh, I would have done it anywhere. So I turn around, and I'm like calling my husband at work. I'm like, he's talking to Dee Dee again. He hasn't done it lately, but he saw something, because we would be, and it was never, it scared me, but I knew Dee Dee was good. Well, I was hoping Dee Dee was good. And nothing, he wasn't scared. So if he wasn't scared, I wasn't, well, yeah, I was.
Oh,
So
no, the kids definitely, they're more tuned in, and they're more apt to be able to still see, the beings on the other side. So, don't shut that down is what I'd say to you.
No, I wouldn't. In fact, one day he wasn't eating, he was getting a tooth, and I actually went to Dee Dee for help. I said, all right, here's how this is going to go down. Dee Dee, I really was worried he wasn't eating, and when your kid's not eating, you worry. So I was like, Dee Dee, please just let him, like, whatever I was feeding him at the time. I know he's hurting, and I just want him to get his nutrition. So please tell him to, like, drink. I think he wasn't even drinking. It was his bottle. It was something as simple as that. And I thought, and I swear, and I know you'll believe me, everyone else might think I'm crazy. I swear once I was asking that, DJ, my son's name is DJ. DJ wasn't looking anywhere, but he was doing exactly what I was asking, and he was drinking it. And I was like, okay, you can go now. Thank you.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
And that is something that I encourage people to, go with it, because the more that you trust in those things and allow yourself to, I feel like our intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
Sure.
So the more that you allow yourself to have those experiences, the more experiences you will have.
And I think that's great, because one time I was in my old apartment, and it was really strange. Like I said, I feel my gut. We all do, but I'm very in tune with it. Many times
Yes.
I don't follow it, and I always learn, you're an idiot, Jill. You should have followed it, because here's what happened. Hand to God, I was going in my apartment. In my head, very strongly, very loudly, I heard, get an extra set of keys made and give them to your friend Kim. My friend Kim lives in my neighborhood. This was before I was married. I was living alone. And I thought, oh, and I said to myself out loud, yeah, I should probably get an extra set of keys. Didn't think twice about it, but I heard it.
Mm-hmm.
A week later, I was on the train coming back from downtown, and I always get my keys out before I get to the train as protection of sorts, so I can maybe poke their eye out if somebody gets to me. And I couldn't find them. So I got into a panic, and I'm like, no, I always think I lose my keys, and they're always in my purse. Well, they weren't. Well, they were in my car, and my car was running the entire time. I had a lot on for 8 hours. Christina, for 8 hours, my car's in a parking lot. I'm at work, la, 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 doing traffic reports on the radio, like life is great. Okay. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, oh, my car's still there. And I'm like, what is that running? I'm like, oh my God, my car's running. I
Oh,
actually got
wow.
out. I mean, I'm blonde, but I'm not that blonde. I got out of the car and didn't even realize it was running. That's how much I had on my mind. But point being, I had to get a locksmith. I had to pay $500. This happened a week after. I called my
Wow.
friend Kim. She stayed with me in her car till I can get a locksmith, which took forever to get my keys out. And that warning was so loud in my head. It
Hmm.
specifically said to me, get an extra set of keys and give them to Kim. And I didn't.
Yeah.
And it would have saved me time, heartache. It wouldn't have saved the embarrassment of leaving my car on. But yeah, and it was as loud as can be. And I thought, never again will I doubt something that strong in my head.
Well, good. Yes. Always listen to that. Always listen to that.
Do you?
Because
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because, we tend not to lead ourselves wrong in those sorts of situations. There's a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, and sometimes you think, did I imagine that? Or this one, I can honestly say it's happened about 4 times in my life where it was almost like my brain screaming at me. It was that loud in my brain. Now, I'm always asking for signs, always bugging God, give me a sign, give me a sign. And half the time I say, you know what, I just trust you and you don't have to give me a sign. You don't have to do anything. You're God. You could do whatever you want. And I'll get the sign. But I always see messages on license plates, and I swear my husband's going to put me away. I'm like, okay, this was for me, and they're always for me. They're about God. They're
Yeah,
about
you're actually not alone. I mean, that is something that's very common. People see, numbers, letters, combinations like that, and license plates is one of the ways that, they'll use to, share those messages with you. So yeah, don't discount that.
I mean, it's crazy. And before I knew I was pregnant, and I was like, I can't be pregnant because I got pregnant at 42. I thought, oh, could be. I mean, it wasn't like I was 80, but I thought,
Hmm.
no, everyone tells you can't. And so I remember driving into work, and in front of me is a car with the license plate that says pregnant question mark. I'm like, are you kidding me? No way. No freaking way. Sure enough, I was. I've never seen a bumper sticker that. Then I thought, maybe I imagined it, but I know what I saw.
Hmm.
Yeah, stuff like that happens to me. All songs, certain songs at certain times that are my pickup songs, I call them.
Hmm.
Sometimes I feel it come on the radio before it does, and it brings a big smile to my face because I think that's got to be my angels or somebody like
Oh yeah,
reassuring me.
definitely. And you're I don't think giving yourself enough credit for knowing that you yourself do have abilities beyond what you realize you really do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm starting to, and even this podcast, Kristen, like you said, well, I'm nowhere near where you are. If Mother Mary ever came to me, I'd faint. But
Or you might be knocked to your knees. So,
yeah,
I was knocked to my knees. I can't say I stood there and went, oh, no, no big thing.
yeah, ain't no
I
thing
wasn't
but a
playing
chicken
it cool.
wing.
I was not playing it cool.
No, no, I think I would absolutely faint. Like one of my son's toys went off the other day. My husband and I were watching TV and we thought it was a surround sound and we heard something that I've never heard before. I go, what the hell was that? And it was like, wah, wah, wah. And he goes, maybe it was the TV. So we rewound it. And I said, it didn't do it again, Dan. What was that? I don't know. We threw the toy out, but I digress. These things, like you said, you were in radio. When you had that Reiki energy that propelled you to what you're doing now and for your destiny, even doing this podcast now came to me in the shower like this is what I need to do because of my interest in it. I need to
Right.
do this right now and see where it goes. And it just came on very strong to me that this is my interest. This is my passion right now. Radio is so crazy and
Hmm.
not stable. But that's
Right.
kind of how I felt with doing this. What was I going to, oh, reincarnation. I saw that you did past life regressions or you still do.
Yes. Yes.
That's crazy. I've always wanted to get one, but I was afraid to. Do you ever meet souls for the first time? Because I do believe I've been around a lot, and I can always usually tell when somebody's been around once or this is their first time.
I can't say that I personally have met any people that I felt like was their first time on Earth.
Okay.
I'm not going to discount that there aren't perhaps
Sure.
some people who are, I can just say that I haven't personally run into them. Um, but I mean, there's like a whole discussion with that because I also believe, and this is going to sound just Looney Tunes, but I also believe that people also incarnate on other planets as well.
Okay.
So sometimes you meet a person who just is so incredibly bizarre, and you can't quite figure out, why you can't mesh with them, and perhaps it's because you've been incarnated on Earth, a whole lot of time, so you're more used to the energies here of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes you meet someone who perhaps is incarnated on Earth for the first time, but maybe they've incarnated on another planet more often. So that's like a whole other subject. And sometimes you just meet somebody who has that sort of energy that it's just kind of discordant to yours.
Yeah.
Because they really are more of an alien being than others. So I mean, and then we get into the whole alien conversation. So that's a whole other thing.
Which
that's
it
a whole
is.
Other show.
It is. My last show, I spoke with a friend of mine who saw UFO, and my whole theory in life is we don't know, and we don't know so much more than we know, and to be that closed-minded. I'm not saying everything. That was a ghost. That was this. No, of course not. I mean, there are logical reasons for many things. But
Right.
for us to sit here and say, in my own humble opinion, that who are we to think we're so special? When people say, well, life can't survive on Pluto, there is no water. First of all, how do you know they're humans? How do you know they need water? And how the heck do you know? We're on Earth. We don't know these things.
And why are you limiting it to Pluto? There is such a huge, vast, universe out there.
Can't even fathom. It's just incredible. There's so that's what I'm saying. I always want to know things, and it's so good to
Right.
talk to you because you don't think I'm nuts, number one, and well, maybe you do, but you seem
No, definitely not. I mean, and the funny thing is I realize, as I talk about some of the things that I believe to be real, that it sounds kooky and Looney Tunes to some people, and I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Because not everybody has necessarily had the experiences I have had. And is it possible that I'm completely insane? Well, I suppose there's, a chance that's true, but all I can tell you is my truth and my experiences and the things that I feel are true, just from the things that I've experienced. And I think you could talk to a lot of people who know me, and they'd tell you that I'm definitely, not, completely Looney Tunes.
No, I mean the guy who referred you to me was like, she's normal. That was like the first thing he said. That's great, because I'm not. She's normal and really friendly. And I said, please ask her first before I'm not just going to go emailing people. By the way, no, I mean,
Well, I appreciate that,
No.
that I'm labeled as normal. But like I said, all I can do is share what my experience has been. And people can take it or not, I mean, because sometimes people just have to have their own experience before they're going to believe in something.
Sure.
And that's fine. I don't demand that people believe what I believe, because I don't know that I would have always believed it myself.
yeah, no, I understand that. I try not to be closed-minded. I'm Catholic. I'm a practicing Catholic. And I know, we're not supposed to believe in reincarnation, but I'm a grown woman. I can think for myself. And I think, in my experience, that it makes sense to me, whether this is true or not, that we would come back multiple times to learn things.
Hmm.
I went to a medium once, and to make a long story short, she said, you don't wear turtlenecks, do you? Now, if you know the way I dress, I used to think I was Madonna. No, I don't wear turtlenecks. I just don't. That's not my style. For me, I have nothing against them. But anyway, she's
Yeah,
like, your mom
but,
doesn't either. And I'm like, where's this lady going with this? Is this a fashion police? She
Because
said,
you were hung in a past life,
Well,
or
I
another
drowned.
time you beheaded.
I drowned and I was choking as I went down. But the funny part was, then she said, are you afraid of water? Which I am.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
how to, I don't know how to swim. That's fine. Many people don't. But I am petrified of the Pacific Ocean. And I can't tell you why. And so was my mom. We went to visit my cousins in Seattle, and we didn't go near the ocean past a certain point. And I don't feel that way, when I'm around Lake Michigan. I still don't like deep water if my toes don't touch.
Right,
But the
right.
fear, Kristina, that comes over me, I'm like, Mom, and she said you weren't mother and daughter. And the whole thing was just how do you pull that out of your hat? By the way, you're
Right.
afraid of
And that's interesting too, because bringing it back to the past life regression that you mentioned before, I have found that in past life regression, oftentimes you can heal those traumas from the past life. For example, I won't share the name, but I
Sure.
have a friend who also is an intuitive person, who had for all of her life had this incredible pain in her neck. Could never explain what happened. She had never had a particular injury, but it was almost a debilitating sort of neck pain.
Okay.
And she actually went and had past life regression done. And during the past life regression, she learned that in a past life she had been beheaded
Oh.
in that.
Ugh.
And it's just interesting. She had been beheaded when she died, and that was like a residual pain she was
Sure.
feeling.
Sure.
And once she had the past life regression, she was able to see it for what it was, heal it, just right there in that one session.
Wow.
And from that day forward, she's never had neck pain again.
Crazy, but unbelievable. I believe that because, again,
It's the healing of that past life trauma. And I find, when I'm working with people, oftentimes when they can make that connection to what they're experiencing to a past life, that somehow it flips something, it switches something where they're able to step back from it and go, okay, I see what that was, and the body is able to purge it as long as they're ready to let it go. And I haven't had a person yet who wasn't able to just let it go when they make that connection. So it's just very interesting.
It is interesting, and like I said, that's not a coincidence. Again, of all the things you could tell me, you're going to say that my mom and I are afraid of water and we don't like turtlenecks, because I do feel when I wear like a choker that it's choking me. It's not a good feeling. Nobody wants to feel like they're being choked. And then she said it was in the 1800s, and I have this great affinity for those times. For some reason, I'm fascinated by them. I always, used to love Little House on the Prairie. How did they do this? How did they do that? My poor husband. I went on a road trip once, and I'm like, where do you think couples went on dates back in the 1800s? What if they had to go to the bathroom? Do they have random outhouses? He's like, really? Who thinks of these things? I said, I do. And I don't know. I'm just curious. So I'm a curious girl. Stuff like that. I don't know. I find the whole thing fascinating. And the fact that you could be that in tune, I think is brilliant. You were born that way. You're gifted and you use it for good, all good things.
Yeah. Well, I want to say though, I really believe that everybody can do this. I know that, different people are going to have more of an affinity to being able to tune into their clairaudience or their clairvoyance. Because everybody has different strengths. It's like different people learn different ways, just in
Sure.
school. Some people learn better from taking notes. Some people learn
Right.
better from doing. Some people learn better from, hearing, lecturing. There are just different ways that people learn. And that I often find is a direct connection to the way that people's gifts of spirit can more easily manifest. So, say you obviously are more easily clairvoyant, and you also have quite a bit of clairsentience. So those are going to be easier for you to develop, but that doesn't mean that you can't develop your clairvoyance.
Okay.
I really believe that this is a divine gift that everybody can develop as long as they allow themselves to do it. If they say, okay, this is what I want to do, that you are able to develop it. I don't think that I'm necessarily more special than the next person. It's just that for whatever reason in this lifetime, it was something that I was supposed to open up to at a certain time. And I allowed that to happen. And I wanted it to happen at the time. And I really believe that anybody who wants to do it can do it. They just need to find an appropriate teacher and get over their fear of it. So I really think that, I don't think of myself as being really special that way, because I think that everybody can develop it.
I'm sure they can, and I believe we're all born with goodness, and have talents, but you've had this when you were so young. I haven't. I haven't had anything like that. I've just always been, interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
But but I hear what you're saying. You have to be open for it. I mean, I don't have a lot of downtime with a 2-year-old. I'll tell you that much for sure. And I tell my husband, like, the only downtime I have is when I'm sleeping, and I want to enjoy it, but I'm not awake to enjoy it. So, but my dreams, that's the other thing I wanted to ask you about. My dreams, I actually started doing, for a while I was doing this show. I was calling myself the Dream Weaver, just not that I am, but because it's a good song. And I would play it under me, and people would tell me their dreams because my dreams are so vivid. I had the creepiest dream. I was talking about my old grammar school with a friend, and I had a drink before I went to bed the other night, which I don't drink anymore. I don't have time to drink, and I don't drink around the baby. But it was so real. I went back like to grammar school, and my kindergarten teacher was there, but she was a hologram, and she let me in the school. And I'm like, I'm a sleigh pack, but I knew she was dead, but she heard me. It was very creepy. And in the dream, there was like a fun fair, and all of my dolls from when I was a kid were there, and in the 1970s price of what they would be. And it's still with me. This dream was so, I want to say it was creepy, but at the same time, I liked it. I don't know if that makes me weird. I feel like I step back. I just went to a different place in that dream, and for some reason, it's still with me, and I can't really like shake it.
Well, I think it's just definitely there was probably a message for you in there. I don't do dream interpretation because I know that there are some common themes that everybody dreams, but I find that enough people have particular associations with certain things that may turn up in their dreams that don't necessarily translate to the next person. So I don't even try to do dream interpretation.
Okay, because I just took it to be,
Well, I think that you need to listen to your intuition on what you felt it was.
What I felt it was is I'm going through I had lost I'm part-time at a radio station now. And by part-time, I mean like maybe once a month part-time. I had lost my full-time job in radio. It'll be a year, September 1st. So
welcome to radio.
Yeah, really. I know. How many times has that happened? And, with a kid now, it's scarier because it's not just you. And I'm in a transition of, how can I do this? How can I make money while still, he's the most important thing, my son, being there for him. And I'm in this transition now. So I feel like if he naps at all, I will sit there, I will watch TV and zone out. And I feel like that's where I do my best thinking. And I just always ask, please, God, please, show me some way, license plate, song, something that's going to make me say, oh. So is that like one way to do it? Just sit and listen, or?
Oh, and that is the most important thing, is being able to, listen. And that takes us to the whole meditation thing, which really is, on one hand, one of the most important things you can do to tune into spirit. But I'm going to tell you that you don't have to necessarily meditate the traditional way. Some people do really good with that, sitting down, being quiet, legs crossed, doing the hand mudra thing. And that's really good. But other people, they can't get there because they can't calm down. Whatever it is that gets you, I tell people, my students all the time, whatever it is that gets you into the zone. You know how sometimes you can be driving and you'll miss your exit because you're in the zone. That actually, you're going into that altered state, and that's a meditative state. There are some people who do walking meditations. As they walk, they count their steps, and they get into that zone. So what is the thing that gets you in? Some people, when they're doing crafts, for example, or they paint, they get into a zone where, they're taking into, basically, it's an altered state, and they get into that meditative state. So whatever gets you there, whatever allows, you to get to a more still point where you're able to notice those other thoughts that come in. Because I know that when I am doing something creative, painting or something like that, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as I'm being creative. Sometimes when I'm cleaning, for Pete's sake, doing dishes or something with my hands in the water. Water is a huge thing for someone who's like clairsentient and an empath like myself. whenever I'm able to do something gets me into that altered state, the point is pay attention to your thoughts at that time. Because what you'll find is when you get into the zone, all of a sudden thoughts are going to come in that aren't things that you are necessarily thinking about. I mean, there may be a little brain chatter, we're human, but then just make sure that you get yourself back into the zone. And then pay attention to the information that comes into you from spirit, because it may seem like something mundane, but it's something you never thought of. And it comes just like, oh, I never thought about doing that before. Pay attention to that, because that's information that's coming in from spirit for you.
Well, that's why when I was seeing those, and I'm still saying the 2s and 4s, I thought, okay, I'm seeing this about 10, 12 times a day, almost on the hour. So I know, and I did look it up. Well, I thought I was trying to, but I think I had to go because it's 22 after. Interesting. I did, it gets your attention to say, this isn't just you looking up at that time all the time. So even just seeing it repeatedly was enough for me to say, somebody's watching out for me now. I'm not in this alone. I always know I'm not alone. Faith
Right.
is interesting, isn't it? I always know I'm not alone. And you can feel, like you said, we're human so badly about things going on or whatever you're feeling, and you don't see what's ahead. And that's obviously what faith is. And you trust. And so I started paying attention to my thoughts around the 22s and 44s and 1111. That's a no-brainer for me. I see that all the time. But the 2s and 4s were new. And like you said, I started making sure my thoughts were positive. They were moving forward and going forward and not looking back, because it's so easy to look back. It's so easy to say, why did this happen? Why did that happen? So at least that's what I was taking out of the 2s and 4s, unless God's telling me to be a mathematician, and that's never going to happen. Because, girl, when I'm out to dinner with somebody, I've got a calculator. I'm counting on my fingers. Okay, you had the fries. No, and I had extra cheese.
I don't even do that. I'm like, somebody else do this and just tell me what I owe you.
I give it the old college try. Then I'm like, exactly. Add the tip. Tell me what I owe you, and we'll call it a day. Oh, that's so funny. But is there any advice you want to give anybody before, because I mean, you were so, it's been, I can go on with you for 3 hours, because you're just really, I'm telling you that it's fascinating to talk to you, because you know so much. And I know you say anybody could do it. And yes, we can, but you have the ability, very innate within you, to do that much more easily than many others. I want to get to a deeper level than I already am. And I don't have time to sit and meditate, but listening to music is what I do. And like you said, cleaning, if I have the time to listen to music, that's because music is my passion too. That's where my head goes. And that is where I'm in that state of, how did I get from A to B while I was driving? And I don't remember stopping at lights. So do you have any, advice for people?
Well, like I said, any way you can get into that zone. But
Anyway, okay.
but anybody who wants to, if someone really wants to develop it, I would, number one, listen to your gut and let your gut guide you. Ask spirit, ask your spirit guides, ask your angels, lead me to the situations that will allow me to, grow in my understanding. And I would actually be looking for a teacher, and listen to your intuition about whether it's a good teacher for you or not. Because it can be the most acclaimed teacher, they can charge thousands of dollars, some of them, and they may not be the right teacher for you.
Okay.
But that's why I say it's good to listen to your intuition. There are a lot of good spiritual teachers out there who can help you to understand about, I would say, start learning about your chakras, about your energy centers. And I would say start a daily practice of clearing your energy, because that is actually going to be an important thing for really safely developing and expanding your awareness.
Okay.
I know people, just the word chakras, and people are like, "Oh, chakras, where's chakras?" It's just energy centers in the body. And I will say that I'm at a point where I would share and say that, as important as it is for you to brush your teeth every day for the maintenance of your the health of your teeth and your body, that if you're going to do spiritual work, that it is also equally important for you to do a daily cleaning of your energy centers, just to make sure that you are keeping the gunk, because there's a lot of gunk out there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You walk into a place like a Walmart and you get slimed. You really kind of get
Ooh.
slimed. um, well, I mean, and then
No, I know what you mean.
you've got to know how to clear that negative energy off of you, because if you're going to open up to these realms and spirit, you want to do it in as safe and responsible way as possible. And I'm not saying that to scare people or anything, but it's really the responsible thing to do, and to make sure that you maintain good health. I mean, because if you're not doing that, it can affect your physical health as well.
Well, it's funny that you say that quickly. A guy I worked with, he's really a good guy in there. He is. I've known him for years, but he's so negative, and I would not defend him because he was just outrageous. His behavior, his negative attitude, and I would tell people he really is a good guy. That's the sad part. You're not seeing the guy I know to be in there,
right?
Because he's doing it to himself, but you feel that aura, that negative energy is like a big gray cloud every time he would walk in a room. And I'm a Pisces. I'm very you feel it right away, and I'm just like, I need to walk away, because then it's going to seep in, and then I'm getting negative, and ugh.
Yeah, it's true. So it is something to be mindful of, about the way the energies do affect and influence you. So I do bring up about the importance of learning about your chakras and about how to clear them and things like that. I mean, because some of it just sounds like, oh, woo-woo, new age stuff. Well,
right.
Some of it really is kind of important to look at.
Yeah.
So that, and being mindful, and finding someone that you trust to, help guide you as you open that. I think that's a good thing too. Sometimes people get taught directly from spirit, like I did. It doesn't mean that I haven't had a couple of teachers over the years, because I have.
Okay.
And I've been very blessed that spirit brought them to me, and I knew that they were the correct teachers for me. But oftentimes, like I said, I've had a lot of weird experiences. Sometimes I would be woken up in the middle of the night by my spirit guide, and they would tell me to do something, and it's like, okay, time to learn something. And
wow.
I was like, whoa. The first time that happened, boy, let me tell you, it was, on one hand, my brain was going, okay, this is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. And on the other hand, I was so calm and went, oh, okay. It was just weird.
Was it like somebody tapped you on the shoulder, or how did you wake up from it? I mean, did they call your name?
No, I mean, I was actually woken up and saw my spirit guide standing at the foot of my bed.
Oh, dear God.
And in my head, I heard his voice, and he said, get up. He actually said, the first time it happened, he actually said, get up.
Oh, whoa. All right. That would have scared me.
No, it was funny. No, really. It's actually funny in retrospect. And I didn't feel threatened or anything at the time, but it was just, I mean, because I have like this really beautiful relationship with that spirit guide who is my gateway guide. And he said, get up. Time to get up. I was like, okay.
All right. Yes. And attention.
And some of my spirit guides are just hilarious. It's almost like having the Three Stooges sometimes. And like, really, you guys, it's just nuts sometimes. So, I mean, sometimes it's not always just, this big mystical, ooh, sort of thing.
Right.
Sometimes it's funny. Listen, I will tell you that a lot of angels and spirit guides are, have great senses of humor. At least that's my experience. They can share information with you in a very lighthearted, jovial way sometimes. And the truth is, for everybody, each individual, they will cater to you how you're going to respond the best, because they are your spirit guides, and they know how to talk to you in a way that you're going to get what it is that they're trying to. And me just being the way I am, I got some smart asses in my gang. I do.
Awesome. That's awesome. You want somebody who's fun to guide you, right?
Right. And then sometimes, I've got some that'll come in and go like, all right, time to quit goofing off. We got, it's like we've got work to do. I mean, so I've got a couple of those guys too. So it just is what it
Well,
is.
but before because I want you to give out all your information, anything you want, because I think people should meet you or talk, however you do it, talk to you, however you do your readings or whatever. I'm going to let you do that. But the question I've always known, actually, I think I know the answer, but I would like to hear it from you. Everything we ask, I'm always talking to God or whoever. I always say God or whoever's listening.
Hmm.
Always. And even though we may not necessarily obviously get an answer, they hear everything.
Yes.
Everything. Okay, now
And I will go so far as to tell you that sometimes you don't even have to say it out loud.
I
They know
know.
what you're thinking.
I know it's funny that you say that because I'll say, all right, God, so I had a really weird day today. And then I say to myself, well, you know that you're God. You know what my day was. I don't have to go through all that. And then I'll go on with it. But then I think once in a while I say, I must probably talking to myself. I don't think I am. I know somebody's hearing me. So I just think it's important that people know that because it could be very scary at times and always know that somebody's with you,
Yes.
which is comforting.
I'm at a point where I feel like most of the time that I'm rolling with my homies. I mean, that's how I feel about my spirit
Yeah.
guides now. It's like, like they're my posse.
They're your peeps.
They're my peeps. I do. I call them my peeps. All right, you guys.
Hey,
It's
Mo,
like
Larry, Curly, wake up and go to bed. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I mean, like I said, I can keep you on for 3 hours, but that would be just rude. I would love to have you on again sometime. I don't
That
know how
would
you
be
feel about that. I
fabulous.
will keep in touch with you though, but tell people what you want them to know, what you're still doing and how they can get a hold of you.
Well, I don't currently have like classes online. I do that sometimes. So if you're interested in, doing some of that spiritual development, you can check out my website and keep an eye open for when I offer some of those. Again, right now I'm just working more with private clients
Okay.
and, doing readings and privates. But yeah, I've got to do some more public classes here sometime soon. So it's, worth keeping an eye out. My website is mysticrosespirit.com. I'm going to be in the next few months actually opening up a physical brick and mortar shop and location. So that's going to be taking up a lot of my time. Part of the reason why I haven't done so many classes here recently, I'm working on all of that.
Okay.
But let me see. I'm doing um energy work. And of course, the DNA activations, if anybody is interested in that. And that can be done in person or distance. Same with the readings. I'm doing currently 30-minute readings. If there's a special case and somebody needs a longer reading, they can message me and we can see about that. It's just that I find that most people don't need more than a 30-minute
Okay.
reading at a time. Um, unless they are heavily on a spiritual path. I do a lot of readings for other psychics, so it's like I get a lot of that. That's why I don't usually need more than 30-minute
Okay.
reading
Sure. Sure.
because I don't have to explain, a lot of what I'm talking about. But some people may need longer.
Okay.
So they can go to my website, like I said, mysticrosespirit.com, and connect with me there. And you can find me on Facebook. You can also look for Mystic Rose Spirit and Wellness on Facebook. I do have an individual Facebook page, but it's easier probably just to go and, follow there, and then I can share stuff
Okay.
there if they want. Um,
So
I
you
don't
could do
know.
readings over the phone.
Yes, do readings over the phone. I mean, because energy is energy, so I don't
Okay.
need to be, face to face and in person. So yeah, I do a lot of readings on the phone.
Okay.
So yeah, that's no problem at all. So I mean, because I read for people in Europe and stuff too. I
Yeah, I
mean, so
saw
it's
that on
not.
your testimonials. I thought that was cool.
So it's not a problem doing them long distance. Yeah, I just mentioned that because, the distance doesn't matter. It's
Hmm.
about connecting. And I really do like to talk on the phone and connect with the voice because I do get a lot of energy that comes through your voice. It's
Okay.
it's a one way that is very easy for me to connect with that particular energy.
Okay.
Some people, prefer doing, like email readings. You ask me 3 questions and and I can do that, but I prefer not to. I really prefer to have the one-on-one dialogue with a person.
Sure.
It's just something that's, like I said, everybody's different.
Hmm.
Different psychics have different ways of plugging in and different strengths, and you just got to find the person who's right for you. So doesn't mean that one person isn't a great psychic, it just may not be somebody that you resonate with, and then
Right.
another person you do. Yeah. So, I'm not somebody that goes out there and wants to trash any other psychics and say, oh, they're
Hmm.
doing it the wrong way.
Hmm.
Like, and some people will do that. And I'm like, no, it's just everybody has their own unique gifts and abilities. So whoever resonates with you is going to do a better reading for you.
Yeah, it's
And
like finding
that's,
your soulmate. You date a lot of turds before you finally find somebody that's, hey,
yeah, yeah,
this one's not that bad.
that's right. So
I didn't mean to
it
ruin your
really
beautiful
is.
moment there, but yes, that's what it's like. I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Was there anything else I needed to share? I can't
There,
remember. So.
this is what I'm saying. You have so much. I want to take notes again for what I didn't ask you.
Oh, well, I know that's the thing, and it's really funny. Like I said, when I felt like I got thrown into the deep end of the pool, I'm like, "Really? You want me to do this? You want me to do this? Oh, are you kidding me? You want me to do this too?" You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, give a
And then
woman
I
a
would,
break.
and then I would do it, and I would go, "Oh, wow, yeah, that is cool.
And
That
then
is
you would
something I
do
should do."
it. You want me to what? Well, I mean, because you do so much, and because I wanted the conversation to just flow, and I knew that would spark a question, and it would go from there. But you have there's so many different avenues. Maybe next time if I have you on, I'll just focus on one, but just to get a general overview of everything that you do.
Yeah.
If we want
Well,
to do,
I also didn't want it to just be, about the wonders of
right.
me, because, that's just really boring. Because, really a good portion of, my purpose in doing what I do is to help to connect other people to their own inner power, to, help them to really connect, with that part of themselves. And that is a lot of, my purpose in doing what I do.
Well, it's great. Like I said, I think if we can just sit for 5 minutes sometimes, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's hard. Sometimes I'm just like 5 minutes and just sit there. You don't, like you said, have to close your eyes, sit in the position or whatever,
Right.
and just wherever you zone, whatever does it for you. Sometimes it's like an electric shock in the emergency room. It's like, all right, I'm good now.
Well, let me tell you a couple other
Yeah.
things. In addition, take that 5 minutes maybe in the morning before you start your day, and 5 minutes before you go to bed. Because sometimes all you need is to actually say, okay, 5 minutes. If you can do that 5 minutes, it can shift your whole day. And at the end of the day, I really like to have people do a gratitude practice. It's like, here are the things I'm grateful for that happened today. And sometimes you had such a crappy day, the only thing you can be grateful for is the fact that you're still breathing. And that's fine. Find something that you're grateful for in the day.
Yeah.
And each day, if you can, before you go to bed, try to release and forgive as much of stuff that made you angry throughout the day.
It
And
really
that's
does
for
make
your
a
own
difference.
benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. I never understood that forgiveness till I was much older, where it's not for the other person to get off the hook. It's for your heart, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Holding on to that
Well,
is it can,
and it's amazing what a difference it can make, because part of my spiritual reawakening, and I don't want to go into a whole other subject because I know you're trying to wrap this up.
No, I just don't want to
But-
keep you on for 3 hours. I'd love to, but go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm fine. But I for a good part of my adult life, and this I didn't realize it at the time. And you talked about your friend who was negative, but you knew that there was something else about him.
Mm-hmm.
So much of my adult life, I felt like I was just bumping around in a dark room because I wasn't connecting with those parts of myself. And I was hugely empathic and hugely clairsentient and a bunch of these other things. And I was doing everything I could to self-medicate and deal with it in some way because I didn't understand it.
Okay.
So I was going to really make a point with this about what we were talking about, and I think I just lost that. But anyway,
Well, this time I know I didn't cut you off, so go ahead.
well, part of it, and we never got into that subject about my near death or whatever experience. I've actually had 2 strokes since this all happened, and one of them was near that all happened in one night. I had a near death experience. I actually had an angel lay me on the ground, but that's a just conversation for another day.
All right. That's going to be our next podcast. I'm not joking, because that's another thing I want to explore, but go ahead.
So anyway, my point is, in these gratitude practices, you can change so much just by doing these few things. Because like I said, I was because I was so sensitive, I was picking up on everybody's negative energy, and it was just glomming on to me. I
Oh.
didn't know about clearing my chakras and all that kind of stuff. And so for many, many years, I would just a cranky, angry person. I mean, I inside wasn't that way, but that's kind of how I related to the world because it was like, I couldn't take all of the stuff I was feeling from everywhere, and I didn't know what to do with that. And there are a lot of people out there who are like that. So it's something to know that sometimes when you run into these people who are so negative like that, some of them are actually like that because they are so sensitive and they are actually internally very gentle people, but because they are picking up on all this negative energy that other people and places generate for them, that they don't know how else to be. And if there's anybody who's listening that is like that and knows that inside they're really not like that and they can't seem to stop themselves, I would really encourage them to start a gratitude practice and to actually start learning about their chakras and clearing. That's something they can go to YouTube and just do guided meditations for chakra clearing and stuff like that. That's not something you necessarily need, like a big teacher for. That's something you can do for free and start doing for yourself, and you'd be amazed at the difference it can make for people.
Yeah.
So,
Again, we can go into so many
Yeah.
different avenues, but I need to, because my time is so limited, and it's the best thing in the world that I had my child. I don't mean it that way. Because again, look at what I'm doing. I'm doing what you said. I always say I'm not complaining because I'm not. But the reality is your time is not your time
Yes.
anymore. I mean, that's
Yes.
the reality of it. And for me to say otherwise would be a lie. And that's okay. That is okay. But I need to find the Jill. I always say to my husband, I need a little bit of Jill time right now because
Yes.
I was Jill before I had him. I'm still Jill. And I need to get back into that, whether it's listening to Custard Pie by Led Zeppelin, which makes me very happy, or listening to, or whatever, or making jewelry, because I used to make jewelry. I don't have the time to do
That's
it.
something that I do too.
Of course you do, Kristina.
It's one of
Yes.
my zone times.
Yes, it is.
If I'm making that, yeah.
I ran to Michael's the other day. I was buying charms off there like the place was burning down. And I'm like, oh, I could do this. And oh, that color's cool for fall. I know what I could do for this one. Let's strand it on here. And, they probably thought I was going to rob the joint because I'm walking around the jewelry section. And I'm like, I just need to, I have an hour. I have a sitter. Let's buy. So, I'm going in the clearance section. But yeah, I mean, that was important for me. I made myself a necklace and a bracelet in the car, by the way. It was like 95 degrees. I'm piecing things together, but it was a good hour for me. And something I think as simple as that, when you can do
Yes.
it, kind of centers you. That's
Yes.
what does it for me. So
Definitely. Find that thing, whatever it is that does it for you. And really, some people do have a hard time finding that thing, but as long as you find it, it's a wonderful place to get to. And it does so much for you. Like you said, yeah.
and this is funny, even watching my son stack things, he loves to stack things, doesn't care what it is. It could be clothes, everything's in a pile. He's so dude, Kristina. He's all guy. But he gets this look on his face, and I tell my husband, like, his lips are pursed together and he's really concentrated. He's in his zone. I go, I love that look, because when I see that look, I know he's happy. And so it makes me smile when I see his sweet little face with those lips together, and he's stacking his blocks and he's very serious about it. That's right now in his little life, that's his zone. And when I see that face, it just makes me melt. As dorky as
That's
that is, that's
awesome.
how I feel.
No, that's awesome.
But I would, again, love to have you on again. I would really like to concentrate on the NDE, near-death experience, because I've read up a lot about those, and they're so cool. Not that people almost die, but the things they see. So I would, there's a couple of things, of course, up to you if you would want to do it. I would talk to you before then, and, we could pick out whether it's that or you want to talk about anything else. If you're up for it, that is fine. But since it's been like
Sounds
10
good.
minutes, tell me again your website.
It's mysticrosespirit.com.
mysticrosespirit.com. It's a very nice website. You were so much fun, and I love the fact that I'm meeting another radio person who understands the hell I'm in. so to say.
Yes, definitely.
I love radio. It's like a bad boyfriend. You can't necessarily get rid of it. But yeah, it's a rough road. So
Yes, it's true. And the funny thing is you said you've followed your guidance about starting this,
mhm.
and then it had been just, I would say, 2 days before Chalk, our friend, contacted me and said, "Would you be interested in doing, this podcast?" It had just been a couple of days before that my peep said, "You really ought to look at doing something online,
Yes.
radio-wise again," because I'd been doing something online before, but they said you really should do some more. I was like, "Really? Do I have time for that?" and then Chuck sends the message, and I'm like, "Okay, let's do a podcast."
There you
So,
go. I mean, you have a great voice. You obviously are entertaining. I think that it's something you should consider. I mean, it's fun. You could do it on your own time, and you never
oh,
know.
I just meant doing this with you. That's good enough for me right now. Unless
Well,
they,
if you
unless
liked
they
it,
shake their finger at me and say no.
you make it a wake up call. Get up. Do the podcast now.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you had fun.
Oh yes, definitely.
You were
It's been
joy.
great.
Yeah, and I will definitely call you back. I will get in touch with you, and hopefully you will come on again because it was a lot of fun, and I like to have fun.
Me too. Fabulous.
All right, Kristina, thank you. This is On a Quest. You can follow me on Twitter at On a Quest Pod, POD for podcast. Please do. It's all sorts of things. It's stuff like this. It's people that have visits from beyond. Some of them very scary, but we delve into it. UFOs. I want to get into numerology. I want to get into all this kind of stuff that people don't necessarily think are facts, but we know them to be true when we experience